Does anyone really understand what Lincoln Riley did in less than a year?
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching me on YouTube or wherever you like to download your podcast, we're free. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Without you, I'm not here. Hey, if you want to become a free subscriber, truly, really easy. Watching on YouTube, just click that red subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. Both of those mean a whole heck of a lot to the show. And because Locked On USC comes at you 5 times a week, even during the off season, hit that bell notification button and you will not miss one single episode. It took nearly 10 years of mediocrity, and that included hits and misses along the recruiting trails. And then you had recruits that should have been picking USC. They were going elsewhere. And then USC eventually bottomed out to a 4-8 record. And then former athletic director Mike Bone and his chief of staff, Brandon Sosta, said, enough is enough. Lincoln Riley, he came in. He was able to get his Superman quarterback, Houdini magician, to, for those of you old enough to remember the old Lipton iced tea commercials, he took the plunge, and USC ended up going 11-1 during the regular season. One superstar player, plus basically a bunch of transfers, meshing together with let's be honest, a roster of underachieving players in less than a year. That's not supposed to happen. Unless you're playing with Voodoo, magic. Or, as I mentioned, one of the very best players, aka / quarterbacks, aka Caleb Williams, in the country. It was Travis Dye. He said it best after the Arizona State game. At this point, I think it's black magic. I go off and do my job. I turn around. He looks like he's about to be sacked. He's referring to Caleb Williams. And all of a sudden, he Houdini's out of there, and we have a 20-yard gain. I don't understand it either. End quote. So, again, it's just, you can't understand it. You're amazed at how it happened, how USC looked as bad as they did in 2021. You bring over the head coach, you bring over a really good player and a bunch of transfers, and you transform yourself into an 11-win team. But here's the thing. Nobody needs to know how the magician captures his audience's imagination. Not necessary. You're coming to enjoy the show. But for the recruits who want to learn how some of it works, then you start recruiting the next batch of, we'll call them aspiring black magic magicians. It wasn't magic or voodoo that helped USC land the number 1 quarterback, Malachi Nelson, the number 1 wide receiver in Zachariah Branch, eventually the number 1 tight end / big wide receiver, Deuce Robinson. It was Lincoln Riley, USC's shaman, their witch doctor, their cure. Again, how do you take a 4-8 team, and if we're being honest, that was a team that looked like they had quit by halftime of each game once Clay Helton was relieved of his duties. And then a year later, you just flip the switch. Again, that doesn't happen. It's not supposed to happen. So if USC, look, we have less than 100 days until USC kicks off against San Jose State. So we're going to find out again if USC can build off if it's 11-win season. Because if Dr. Riley can cure his own, we'll call it chronic case of the hiccups, that they tend to appear on the defensive side of the ball. This is not an offensive issue. We've got 9 reasons to feel good about building off of last year's success. Those 9 reasons: Bear Alexander, Mason Cobb, Anthony Lucas, Christian Roland Wallace, Jack Sullivan, Keon Bars, Jameel Muhammad, and Traquan Fegans. Again, 9 reasons to believe Riley found his cure. Those are some big-time guys these are the guys who decided they want to be the ones to put USC over the top. Remember, I spoke about this on an episode last week. There are some guys who just want to come in and just be plugged into a well-oiled machine. They don't want to have to be the guys to be considered the foundation. And then there are, some guys who want to be among those guys who said, hey, who wants to be next? We laid the foundation. 2 different groups. Neither one is wrong. But which group do you want to be a part of? That's how Lincoln Riley did it in 1 year. He found guys who wanted to be part of that foundation. And a lot of those guys are still around for year 2. So, with the talent that stuck around and decided they're going to keep fighting on, a fairly decent recruiting class in 2023, and a fairly decent 2022 recruiting class, and then a giant basket full of transfers who believed in the power of USC's Voodoo. They're building off of an 11-win season. That means USC, they made the playoffs in 2023. So again, you've got a bunch of guys who came in with the 2023 class. Some of them are going to make an impact this year. You got more guys who came in the transfer portal, filling specific needs, specific roles. I gave you 9 reasons. They plan to build this roster into a playoff team. If you're looking for something delicious, sweet, tastes great while you're watching USC, and you don't want all the sugar or the calories, then you need to be trying the greatest tasting protein bar ever built. You got to try these things. Because if you're like me and you want to try and be healthy, but you don't want to compromise on taste, I've got just the thing for you. They're called Built Bars and Built Puffs. They're healthy and they taste amazing. And what makes these Built Bars really good? Well, for starters, what is Mark like? He likes chocolate, and they're covered in 100% real dark chocolate. And they come in these really ridiculously great flavors, like churro and peanut butter brownie and cookies and cream. And what's even better is they're healthy. Only 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, but you're going to get a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't even have to wait to get a box. You don't have to order them online. Go to Sam's Club, go to Walmart. It's that easy. That's right. You can head to your nearest Walmart, just head to the pharmacy section, grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box. They got their cookies and cream bar. They got their double chocolate bar, and they've got something called a coconut puff. And if you're near Sam's Club, run on in, get a 13-bar box. They've got their hit flavors, brownie batter puff and churro puff. Tell me about them, and then you can thank me later. What if USC has a better recruiting class than the Ohio State and Michigan? Those are going to be USC's top 2 competitors when it comes time to getting recruits to sign their name on the dotted line once USC moves to the big conference starting in 2024. By the time everything is said and done, I feel confident, very confident, that USC will be ahead of the Wolverines when that final gun sounds, closing the first letter of intent day. And I feel really strong by the time the second LOI day rolls around in February, because you've got the portal guys coming in between then. Currently, as it stands today, as I'm recording this episode of Locked On USC, Big Blue, Michigan, has the number 5 ranked recruiting class in the country according to the On3 network. They've got 17 commits, and for all of you astrologers, it's filled with 11 4-stars and 6 3-stars. Pretty good. Ohio State, who, believe it or not, they've got some people who are concerned while they're sitting with the number 2 class in the country, behind Georgia. The Buckeyes, they only have 13 commits, 2 5-stars, 9 4-stars, and 2 3-stars. Woe is me, right? And then there's USC. They're pacing themselves until that final bell lap that I was talking about. She's coming in at number 18 with 3 commitments. Number 4 has actually happened. You'll be hearing the name sooner rather than later. Go back to one of the episodes I mentioned last week. USC got its 4th commitment. I hinted. Go check it out. But again, it's completely within the realm of possibilities that USC could have a higher ranked class than both Michigan and Ohio State. The Buckeye faithful are literally, they're questioning their defensive line recruiting and their defensive line coach, Larry Johnson. They're concerned that all they're getting looks at right now are from their Plan B and C guys. Okay, again, I'm looking at their class, and you're sitting at number 2. You're doing okay. Stop whining. So, again, I'm not sure why some of the Buckeye faithful are in panic mode. Maybe it's because they know USC is coming. I mean, they're coming up quick. And the last thing Ohio State fans want to worry about is another USC dynasty coming into the horseshoe at night with 100,000 screaming Bucknut fans under the lights on national TV. Look, if you've ever dealt with a Buckeye fan before, that was their mantra before Matt Barkley, Joe McKnight, and Stephon Johnson and the rest of the Trojans broke 100,000 Buckeye fans' hearts that were in the stadium. Millions more around the country. And that was 1 year after USC did a 35-3 ass kicking on the Buckeyes inside the Coliseum. 35-3. So Ohio State knows the power of USC when it's up. But they also know USC when they were coached by Clay Helton. So Buckeyes, they prefer that version. Michigan, if we're looking at it from their perspective, they know Sean Nua. He left Ann Arbor for Los Angeles, but so did Alex Grinch, who had a pit stop in Columbus, Ohio. So both of those guys, they know how to recruit for the Big Ten. And so I'm not as confident in USC passing the Buckeyes this year. However, if they make the playoffs, and I'll take it a step further, and beat them in the playoffs, then the needle on my confidence level is going to start to move. Lincoln Riley already has USC within striking distance. I get it, they're at number 18. So if USC ends up with the higher ranked recruiting class over their biggest competitors, the shift of power is going to swing to the West. In the end, we're going to find out which plays a larger role. Is it going to be high school recruiting or the transfer portal? Either way, Lincoln Riley has proven he can do both at an extremely high level. But the reason I'm bringing this up, again, pardon me, if USC has a better recruiting class in 2024, let's just say in front of Michigan, again, catching and passing Ohio State, that's going to be a tough go, just because of, let's not forget, it's subjective. So if USC has a top 5 class, what is the difference between 2, 3, 4, and 5? You can usually see the difference between number 1 and number 2, but as of right now, if we're talking, believe it or not, Ohio State sits at number 2, but they actually have a higher average. Georgia has 3 more recruits than Ohio State. That gives them the number 1 spot. But the percentage difference, Ohio State is like 0.3 percentage points higher. So, again, the difference between 1 and 5, in German you would say macht nix. It's like 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. What's the difference? If USC jumps into that top 5 recruiting class, that is going to shift the balance of power. It's going to mean, okay, USC's back, they're winning, they probably made the playoffs, and they're going to do just fine transitioning into the big conference. And all those recruits who have looked at Ohio State and Michigan and other teams outside of the big conference who have left USC's backyard, they're going to stay home. They're going to play for USC and play in the big conference rather than for the Buckeyes or the Wolverines against USC. That's the what if. That's what we're looking for. You know, I hope everybody is having a great Memorial Day holiday weekend. Let's always remember how lucky we are. So just say thank you. And remember the ones who, sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice that allows us, to kind of enjoy and say, Happy Memorial Day. Let's have a party. Let's go to a parade. Let's go to a sporting event. Remember, it's this holiday that we celebrate is built around a somber day. So if you ever get a chance, let's not ever forget who we are and to say thank you that we're this lucky to be able to do what we do. All right. So I hope everybody enjoyed their holiday. You might remember, if you're a loyal listener, and I dropped a hint in one of my episodes last week, Jason Rodriguez, former USC offensive lineman, he's going to be making his transfer announcement by Wednesday. And again, if you listen to one of my episodes last week, I kind of dropped a hint. Could USC be seeing Jason Rodriguez again? He has choices of where to go. He's made his decision, though. Speaking of you everydayers, last week I mentioned on one of my episodes, in fact, it was titled "The 2024 Class is USC's Most Vital." And for those of you who want to become an everyday listener, viewer of Locked On USC, go check it out. You might notice that this episode kind of tied into that one. So here's some stuff I'm considering for this week. Give me some feedback. Tell me what you want. What do you want to hear this week coming up? We're heading into a really dead period when it comes to USC athletics. USC baseball on Monday is going to find out where they're playing in the NCAA regionals. They're going to make it. Don't worry about it. So, again, tell me what you want to talk about. Tell me what you want me to talk about, because I'm going to have recruiting updates. June is going to be a month with a lot of recruiting momentum, so I'll have you covered there. Don't worry about that. But how about, here's a topic. Yes or no? Do you want to talk about this? Is there anyone still in the transfer portal who USC should go after? I think Lincoln Riley made the comment that unless there's somebody who can come in and make a big impact, they're probably done. Is there anybody still out there? Let me know. Here's a topic. Can starters, can they be considered underrated players? If you're a starter, can you be underrated? Depends. We can talk about that. Here's a topic. What should the expectations be for each newcomer? And there's a lot of newcomers. And there should be a lot of, and I hate to use the term expectation, because when you don't get what you're expecting, you're kind of let down. So what should we anticipate from the newcomers? I think that's a more positive spin on it. What about this one? Which freshmen are going to end up passing over a veteran for their position by the halfway point? Here's a topic, because we're always going to be touching on the athletic department, who's going to be USC's new athletic director. What if USC goes after San Diego State's athletic director before their anticipated jump to the Pac-12? Believe it or not, San Diego State, their athletic program kind of flies under the radar. Everybody knows about their basketball program, but they've been doing some sneaky good stuff behind the scenes. And, if they move up to the Power 5, they're going to have more resources to utilize. So, those are some topics I'm considering coming up this week. Tell me, what do you want to talk about? If you didn't hear something I mentioned, give me a suggestion. Give me some feedback in the comment section on YouTube. Talk to me on Twitter. I'm around. And again, I'm going to remind everybody, Locked On USC, we're here for you 5 times a week. I have the option to decrease my productivity down to 3 times a week during the off season. Ain't happening. It's not how we roll. I might take a day off for a vacation, but you can always count on Locked On USC coming at you 5 times a week. Which is what we do. So, until that next episode, I know this one ran a little short, but remember, Locked On USC gives you everything you need to know. Your first listen every day, 30 minutes or less. And when you're done here, head on over to wearesc.com, because there's a lot, and I mean a lot of really good written content, and we'll keep you updated with recruiting stuff there as well. So, until that next episode of Locked On USC, everyone, you know what to do.